AITA for disclosing my husband's medical history to our couples therapist. We started couples therapy recently, and during our last appointment, the therapist asked about my husband's behavior, and I felt it the appropriate time to bring up a suggestion I made to my husband that he see a psychiatrist. He was very defensive, saying I'm not qualified to diagnose. So I then explained he's been on antidepressants for over a decade but just sees a PCP now, and I just want him to get the level of psychiatric care he deserves. He said it made him feel like something was wrong with him and snapped at me for telling his personal info that is not mine to share to the therapist. The therapist said she did need to know, and I felt that she didn't think I did anything wrong. After I asked him why he snapped at me, and he asked I not reveal any information protected by law. WTF? Now I'm wondering, AITA? Let me get this straight. Your husband is too embarrassed to tell a mental health professional he is paying to help that he needs mental help. He ain't in counseling to fix your marriage, sis. He thinks you are the problem in the marriage, and he expected the therapist to be on his side. Expect to be told that everything is your fault by him, and pretty soon he will refuse to go to therapy at all. NTA, this was the perfect time to talk about it. You aren't chatting up a stranger on the street. And you suggesting he see a psychiatrist is not diagnosing him. It's suggesting there might be a problem and that he should see a qualified person to talk to about it. Believing there's a problem with his antidepressants, whether it's the efficacy or if he needs to change prescriptions, is a marital problem. Depression can have significant effect on the spouse and marriage, as well. I think you should address this when you are both calm and explain that. I am guessing from the way you wrote your post, you are concerned about him and concerned about the effect this is having on you working together as a couple. AITA. Dad showing up unannounced. For context, I live in a university house with 4 other girls about an hour away from my family. About a week ago, my dad, whom I haven't seen since Christmas Day, showed up at my door unannounced. My roommates were all there to see, and I was very embarrassed. He also brought his new wife, who he's only introduced me to once before, and demanded I go out for dinner with them. I was shocked and said I was busy with schoolwork and that maybe it would have worked out if he'd asked me ahead of time. He's now telling me how rude I was and hurt it made him feel. I told him I'm setting up a boundary that he must tell me before he shows up, and he's refusing to agree, stating that it's his right to see me whenever he wants and most kids wouldn't act this way. AITA? NTA, it's basic manners to call ahead to see if the person is available. When I was in university, studying took up most of my time. No one is entitled to your time. I am a parent and my child is in high school, and I don't assume that she is always free to do things as she has her school work and friends. We communicate with each other. Your reaction to your own father sounds incredibly cold. Like you were pissed he contacted you at all. I feel like you're leaving out a lot of context. I'm going with Esh because you didn't give enough info. He should have called first, even if he was just in the neighborhood, but your reaction doesn't paint you in a good light at all if you don't provide a reason why you would treat your own father that way instead of just politely declining. AITA for refusing to take my wife to work. I just came from my workplace, which is 70+ km away, only to get asked by my wife, who worked half a shift from home, to drive her to her workplace for a colleague birthday party plus company meeting, where I'm supposed to wait somewhere until it's all finished so we'd go for a dinner together. I said it's all okay for me to drive her there and back except for a part where I'm supposed to wait and waste my time in some cafe until she's done, to which she responded that she's gonna to have a coffee at her mom's later then, because she needs some activity to relax her because she's under a lot of stress. Context. We both own separate cars and have driver's licenses, obviously. The part where it's assumed that if I'm done with my work it means I have nothing better to do, so it's okay that I wait around. The driving part, I'm even fine about this. NTA not sure if the request for a ride was to be safe and not drive after drinking, but expecting you to wait for hours on end just to get a nightcap and then drive home is a bit much. Not to mention she was planning on adding another stop to her mother's. Being her husband does not mean you have to complete every request and vice versa. It's a partnership.